So the Megaman Battle Network Legacy Collection has recently come out, and I have been playing it basically non-stop. But I also want to share all the fun with all of you, so today we're ranking all of Mega Man's fusions in the games 4 through 6. I'm not doing style changes because that's a whole separate other topic. So I have come out with a 5-point system to determine how viable each one of these fusions are. 1 is aesthetic, 2 is how good the charge shot is, 3 is ease of fusion, basically what chips are used to fuse and the likelihood of them being in your folder. 4 is the scenario, determining how annoying it is to get the fusion. If it's not annoying at all, it gets a point. If it's hella annoying, it gets 0 points, that sort of thing. And 5 is basically the passive buffs, if the fusion has a passive buff or if it's useful or not. So starting off with Battle Network 4, Red Sun, we got Guts Cross. Aesthetically, it's actually pretty good. I don't mind it. And it's also pretty cool that you get to fuse with Gutsman of all people, right? He's been in all of the games, right? And he was also in the original Mega Man, right? The first game ever made. Gutsman is there. He's like the mascot of the series, and now you get to fuse with him. So that's actually pretty cool. The charge attack is almost useless though. Just being like a big ass punch, but the range sucks. You can just punch one square ahead, and yeah. As we're gonna go on, you're gonna see that range actually plays a large factor, and the range sucks. At least it does for Guts Cross. And you know, you need brake chips to fuse, which is not typically in my folder, so that's kind of a point against it. And don't get me started on the scenario, because I have developed a true hatred for this 5-year-old kid. That's Dex's brother, and he is the most annoying child I have ever seen or met or whatever in my entire life. If I see this kid on the street, I will straight up punch him in the face. That's how much I despise this little kid. And as far as buffs are concerned, it gives normal chips a plus 30 attack, which is, you know what, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So the overall score for Guts Cross is a 2 out of 5. Next up is Fireman. First up, aesthetically, it's fire. Excuse the pun. The charge attack is a big ass flamethrower that has both range and power, so that's another point. It's also stupid easy to fuse with Fireman because fire chips are literally a dime a dozen. There's a crap ton of them. The passive buffs are actually pretty cool too. You absorb lava panels and power up fire chips. So that's another point. The scenario this time is that Match is in love with a waitress who's being extorted by his criminal colleagues, and Match tries to protect her while Lan and Mega Man disarm some bombs. So honestly, this one gets a 5 out of 5 for me. Moving on, we actually have Roll, who is stupidly overpowered, especially in PvP. Also, for those of you who don't know, Roll is not Mega Man's sister in this. She's his girlfriend. Okay, let's get over it. So, first up, we have aesthetically, and Mega Man merges surprisingly well with Roll. Like, aesthetically wise, it looks pretty good. And the charge attack is absolutely ridiculous because it has the ability to destroy your opponent's chips. Yeah. I mean, sure, it may be weak, but that doesn't matter. When you're playing PvP, you could just delete your opponent's chips like it's nothing. I'm serious, it's ridiculous. You use recovery chips for the fusion, and you know what? Enough said. Everybody uses recovery chips. There's literally no reason you won't be able to fuse. And another really cool thing about this fusion is that whenever you use a chip, it gives you back 10% of your total life. Yeah, this is stupidly overpowered. Like, it is busted. The only thing I get deck points on is the scenario because Roll gets kidnapped. She's a damsel in distress by this like groupie that she has, and then Mega Man goes off, rescues her, and then they play tag. It's real dumb. So the overall score is a 4 out of 5. Alright, Windman is up next. So aesthetically, Mega Man looks pretty badass with this fusion. The charge shot, range-wise, kinda sucks because it's basically like a wide sword or a wind rack, and it's not all that good. But if you pair it with the ability to bring enemies closer to you, it becomes a lot more viable, right? So the passive buffs basically Gives gives wind chips a +10 attack. Also enables North Wind, which gets rid of all barriers. So you know what? If you're fighting someone like Base, well, there you go. Just Wind Soul and then bing bada boom, right? So also float shoes and air shoes are enabled, right? And it also provides you with like a fan effect, basically bringing enemies closer to you whenever you want. So honestly, it's pretty viable. The chips, on the other hand, are pretty scarce because, you know, they're wind-based, and wind-based chips, pretty scarce. So that's kind of a point against it. The scenario is basically Windman's operator gets blackout drunk because she has the alcohol tolerance of Rock Lee.
What the hell is that?
What does it mean when there's a picture of a skull?
Good stuff.
And then she proceeds to wreak havoc on the net. So, you know, you have to snap her out of it. It's a whole ordeal. It's also actually really dumb, so that's another point against it. Overall, the fusion gets a 3 out of 5. So, next up, it's Thunderman. It gets a 1, because I despise everything about this fusion. 1, it looks stupid. 2, the scenario is annoying as hell, with Megaman essentially being poisoned the whole time and losing HP throughout the whole scenario. The charge shot damage is ass. It only does like 20 damage. The passive buff is paralysis, which is useless. But, you know, at least it's easy to fuse because of electric chips. I don't care. This fusion is garbage. But believe it or not, it's still not the absolute worst. And finally, we got Searchman. Let's end on a high note. Aesthetically, it gives Megaman a sniper rifle. Enough said. The charge shot does actually decent damage and it locks onto enemies the whole time, so hell yeah. The scenario is actually really cool as well, and it would actually be a crime for me to spoil it here, so honestly, just go play it. And probably the best thing about this fusion is that it gives you the shuffle feature for your chips, basically allowing you to shuffle your deck to look for like program advances or necessary chips that you need at that moment. So you know what? Program advances, here I come, baby. The only bad thing about it is that you need an invisible chip to access the fusion, which, I mean, I don't like using them at all, so that's kind of a point against it. But overall, the score is a 4 out of 5. Now, we're moving on to Mega Man Battle Network 4, Blue Moon. Alright, first up, we have Aquaman, or Spoutman, whatever. Anyway, aesthetically, it's actually pretty cool, especially with the water effects on Mega Man. The only thing I don't really like is the helmet, but other than that, it's actually pretty cool. The charge shot, unfortunately, is pretty weak. I'm pretty sure it does like 20 damage. I know it's super fast, but like, who cares? And I'm not counting the Battle Network 6 version, which gets like a stupid massive buff. Anyway, the fusion requires aqua chips, which literally everyone has or uses. So that's another point for it. The scenario, though, is pretty dumb because basically Aquaman gets sad and has his tears flood the whole net, and now Mega Man has to knock some sense into him while holding his breath. And yes, I realize how absurd that sentence was. Also, you don't slide on ice and power up aqua chips. Overall score, 3 out of 5. Number Man gets a 0 because he is by far the worst Navi ever conceived by humans. I hate everything about him. Moving on. Next up is Woodman. And I like everything about this fusion except for how it looks, because it looks so damn dumb. First off, the charge shot is OP. The scenario is basically eco-terrorists want to destroy the net and Mega Man has to go and stop them. Use wood chips to fuse, which are plentiful and all over the place, and the passive buffs are awesome, allowing you to recover HP as long as there's a grass panel. It's just that Mega Man looks so damn dumb wearing a skirt while fused. Nonetheless, the score is a 4 out of 5. So, now we got Metal Man, and this fusion looks badass. One of my favorites throughout the whole series. The charge shot actually kinda sucks though, because it suffers from the same problem as Gutsman, that being the range, because you can only punch right in front of you. It does stupid amounts of damage, but has 0 range. It's pretty easy to fuse though, since all you really need is like an air hockey, which by itself are pretty OP and pretty plentiful, so you shouldn't have really much problems there. The scenario is actually pretty annoying though, since, you know, it's a timing mini game where you have to like break rocks or whatever. And the passive buffs allow Megaman to, you know, charge break chips and normal chips for double damage. Overall score, 3 out of 5. Next up is Junk Fusion, which is probably the most gimmicky fusion of all time. Aesthetically, it's garbage. Like, it's literal garbage. The charge shot allows Megaman to throw garbage at an enemy, which, I mean, yeah. And it requires you to have an obstacle check to fuse, so that's another minus point, because why would you want that in your folder? But the scenario is actually pretty unique and kinda sad, and I don't really want to spoil it here. Go play the game. The passive buffs is where it actually shines though, because it allows Megaman to recycle his chips, basically allowing you to use the same chips more than once. Overall score, it's a 2 out of 5. And finally, we got ya boy, Proto Man. Basically Megaman's rival, in case you're not in the know. Aesthetically, I'm kind of in the middle of the road. I don't know if I like it or not. I just think the green visor on Megaman is just kind of dumb. The charge shot is a white sword, which is powerful, but has a butt-foot range. Like, it sucks as a ranged weapon. I mean, everyone also uses swords, so there should be zero problems fusing. Like, swords are all over the damn place. The scenario is Proto Man uses a dark chip, which turns him evil, so Chad teams up with Megaman to rescue him. It's honestly way cooler than it sounds. Go play the scenario. And the passive buff powers up sword chips and gives you a step sword ability. And also it gives you a shield. So overall score, 3.5 out of 5. Okay, so originally I was actually gonna just do all 3 games in one video just to get it over with, but seeing as how long this video is by itself, you know what, I'm just gonna make 3 different videos. I'm just gonna split it up. Hopefully you guys don't mind. But yeah, next up, Megaman Battle Network 5. See you there.